They unveil digital liquidity fund. BlackRock is not alone in its tokenization quest, as Swiss-based Sygnum Bank embarked on tokenizing a 50 million investment in the Fidelity Institutional Liquidity Fund. BlackRock announced this in regards to USD Institutional Digital Liquidity Fund. The fund will have a minimum investment of specifically 100,000 and will use the Ethereum blockchain for its operations. Sygnum Bank is investing 50 million in the Fidelity Institutional Liquidity Fund, with plans to tokenize these funds on the ZK Sync Layer 2 blockchain. Additionally, the Saudi Arabian government is contemplating a 40 billion investment in AI in collaboration with venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz. All right. BlackRock launches tokenization fund. The world's leading asset manager made a big stride into the digital asset space by filing a Form D with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission for the BlackRock USD Institutional Digital Liquidity Fund, which will be its foray into tokenized asset funds. Then it says, of course, congrats, BlackRock, yada, yada. This is another great milestone for the tokenization of assets. Now, something I want to point out here. Remember how we talked about, all right, so I don't know if this is where you're going with this, and that's okay. So let me just talk about this for a second, okay? So earlier, I did cite Securitize and the whole thing of Sony Bank and so on with the JASMY segment. But do you see a common thing here, you guys? Again, it's understanding, like, this whole thing like finance democracy and so on. And I understand that, there's a lot more to it than just what's here, but it's interesting. It's always interesting to see what they're going to do, BlackRock. A little bit more about this. The fund, which was established in 2023 under the jurisdiction of British Virgin Islands, is yet to be launched. Through the Form D filing, BlackRock wants exemptions under Section 3 of the Investment Company Act, following it to operate with more flexibility and fewer regulatory constraints. The fund also plans to attract large investments with a minimum investment threshold of 100,000. Securitize, a leading U.S.-based digital securities firm, is set to manage the offering and sale of the tokens associated with the fund. Look at this for a second. Tokenization, the process of representing real-world assets on a blockchain, is at the core of this initiative. The fund will use Ethereum blockchain employing ERC20 token dubbed BIDL. Interesting. Might have to look into that one. Despite currently having a single holder and no on-chain market cap, the fund recently received a pretty big boost with 100 million transfer. Oh my God. Really? Okay. Now you caught my interest. Hold on. Let's see what's going on with that. This is called Saratoga STG, supposedly. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get a deep dive about this, but that's interesting. Somebody else is going to have to get through this because I don't see how this is the same thing. Anyway, let's go back to this. Okay, of course, according to Etherscan, that's a lot of freaking money. That's crazy. The move comes after BlackRock's major success in launching a spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund. One of the first to receive SEC approval, Larry Fink, the CEO, right, shares bullish stance on Bitcoin and the broader potential of the tech. He sees a future where financial assets, including stocks and bonds, are tokenized. Yeah, we already know about that. Okay. Let's see here. Not only represents a major milestone for BlackRock, also signifies a growing acceptance and integration of blockchain technology in the mainstream financial industry. Okay. Sygnum announced 50 million investment in Fidelity liquidity fund on behalf of its client Matter Labs. By the way, guys, Fidelity is the third largest of the big institutions. Obviously, BlackRock's number one. Fidelity apparently is number 3, last I checked. This investment is attracting some attention, not just because of its size, but for the innovative approach of its management. The funds will be tokenized, which will be the first step in Matter Labs' strategy to transition its treasury reserves to the blockchain. Oh, shoot. I think this is why Mike wants us to see this. So other than that big thing about the 100 million. So yes, first step in Matter Labs strategy to transition its treasury reserves to the blockchain with oversight in institutional custodians. Okay, well, maybe this is the start. I mean, I don't know. The start of what? Well, we have talked about for the longest time. Watch out when you see examples of your BlackRocks, your Fidelities, your State Streets, your Vanguards, and so on, where they put a percentage of their assets on chain. Because what will that do? Well, what we'll do is your overall crypto market cap, instead of being 2.6 trillion like you see in it today and so on. I mean, where are we at right now? 2.6 trillion. Well, you can have floods and floods of like this being put on chain. That's a huge deal, right? All right, let's get into a little bit more about this. Signum tokenizing 50 million of Matter Labs treasury reserves into ZK Sync. Signum issues security tokens act as on-chain representations of units. From what? Let's open that up. Gosh, man, you got us going down the rabbit hole, and I was going to end the show, but this is interesting. Of Matter Labs treasury reserves onto the ZK Sync blockchain, Signum issues security tokens act as on-chain representations of units from Fidelity International's Fidelity USD 6.9 billion institutional liquidity fund. 6.9 billion in institutional liquidity fund to generate a secure and transparent proof of reserves. Interesting. Proof of reserves. In the past, people questioned Tether. You know where I'm going with this. Represents first step in Matter Labs' long strategy to move its treasury reserves on chain with trusted institution custodians. I mean, who bigger than BlackRock, right? By tokenizing traditional securities, Signum is strengthening the crypto TradeFi bridge and laying the foundations for a fully tokenized ecosystem. Oh my gosh. Wow. So instead of having examples of only R3 and Corda, we're now seeing examples of what, guys? Tokenized traditional securities and a 6.9 billion institutional liquidity fund. This is incredibly interesting. I see why you wanted us to not wrap up the show yet. Jörg Rimley, if I pronounce that right, country head Switzerland at Fidelity International says, quote, "They will welcome the partnership with Signum Bank that expands access to or for professional and institutional investors and strengthens the trusted bridge between the emerging digital asset economy and traditional finance." Fatmire Bekuri, Signum head of tokenization, says, "Working with Fidelity and utilizing ZK Sync, Signum leverages both the power of the blockchain and the experience of a global tier 1 investment manager. It's prime illustration of our mission to connect crypto and TradeFi and build the bridge future finance on chain." Marco Cora, Matter Labs SVP of Business and Operations, says, "Moving USD 50 million of our treasury reserves onto the ZK Sync blockchain showcases its institutional grade security as well as our commitment to transparency. We are eager to collaborate with Signum to bring part of the Fidelity Money Market Fund on the ZK Sync blockchain for investors." And of course, you have your citations here. But yeah, Signum tokenizes Matter Labs treasury reserves, and it's USD 6.9 billion Fidelity. So again, all right, I'm gonna retweet this. And if anything, I mean, maybe not a lot of people really get into it, and that's not the point. The point is, we have all been wondering about the hints of when institutions other than ETFs bring all this big money in. Is this the first example of that? Could very well be. And if anything, I think we'll follow it a little bit more. Thank you to the one and only Maximus Crypto Sideline Reporter. Mr. Elon Musk. Thank you very much. I want to state this. I'm going to get credit where credit's due. So, Clearpool was the first cryptocurrency I ever covered on this channel. The main reason why I covered them back in December of 2021 is because, for one, I was personally invested into them. But another thing was really interesting was at the height of the bull run, when they kind of like launched, they were at roughly 39-40 cents. They went public. And 2.5 weeks after that, they shot up to like $2, and I think it was like 47 cents all-time highs. They come a long way since then. Now, if you believe in real good projects, right? You, of course, like anything, whether it's JASMY, you name it, you do what? You dollar cost average. Some of you guys call it down cost averaging, right? My thing is this. My last bag of Clearpool that I got was at 2 cents. That was the biggest bag I bought. And I was so glad that I stuck it out through all the FUD. And there was FUD in Clearpool, just like any other project. JASMY, you name it. But when we talk about the whole subject of, real world assets and the ones that are part of this bigger picture and being well diversified, Clearpool, in my opinion, does get the honorable mention. A shout out to Mike Cornwell, Elon Musk, for sharing this, because I sent this to him a few days ago and I ended up losing the article. So thank you, Mike, for bringing this up. I want to share this with you guys. Check this out. Not every day we could talk about Clearpool, but this is really cool in my opinion. So it's this right here, and let's take you to it and look what it says. Let's just scroll down a little bit. Take that off the screen. Do a full screen on this one. BlackRock, because we were just talking about BlackRock, were we not? And Coinbase partnership and real world asset tokens signals Ondo, Clearpool. Yes, you're right. Clearpool, which is ticker symbol Cpool. And these 6 real world asset coins could spike 100x. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, these are different people's perspectives and so on. But I do like what's mentioned here, especially with what we just talked about. Okay. Relio, have you guys noticed? I mean, my goodness. I mean, Relio up over $3. Mike Cornwell got into it at 8 cents. I came into it like a little over 9 cents, slightly under 10. But those have been like 35 plus X for us, right? Is there other gems out there that are part of the mix? The answer is yes. So look at this a little bit more. And what you'll see here is this digital asset fund called BUIDL, BUIDL, backed by 100 million in USDC on Ethereum blockchain. Again, this is another example of this initiative. And I'm going to tie in what we just explained from Mike Cornwell and put into this as well. But it says this is an important move in the whole thing of real world assets, tokenization industry. Notably, Coinbase has been selected as the key infrastructure provider for this fund, marking significant collaboration between major players aimed at driving the real world asset space forward. The BUIDL fund aims to maintain a stable value of $1 per token while providing daily accrued dividends directly to investors' wallets in the form of new tokens each month. This partnership signals BlackRock's commitment to exploring blockchain tech and tokenization of traditional assets, potentially unlocking vast opportunities with multi-trillion-dollar real-world asset markets. As the RWA industry continues to gather momentum, several promising projects have emerged as potential market leaders. And of course, according to this analysis by Alex Wasey, pronounce that right, on X, these RWA tokens could experience staggering gains up to 100 times their current valuations as mainstream adoption accelerates. Here are 6 notable RWA projects, and if anything, we're not going to get to all of them, right? But the point is, look at this, guys. Relio gets the honorable mention, fully compliant layer 1 blockchain built with Cosmos SDK, designed specifically for tokenizing and storing real-world assets in a secure, decentralized network. I mean, are you aware that the whole thing of our IO, let's just go ahead and show you this for a second. This right here was well over $3 and some change earlier. Okay. But look at this, 75 million max supply, 55 million total supply. Now I get where Rob Mass, aka Crypto Future, says only 8.76%, and there's a risk of them dumping. Right, we'll pay close attention to that. But for people like myself and Mike Cornwell, came in at roughly 8 and 9 cents. This has been huge for us. And of course, we'll monitor this like a hawk if they do decide to, fully dilute this by putting the whole supply into circulation, right? This is part of our due diligence. But again, very low supply, 75 million. And what's the main point? The main point is recognizing that these are low market cap gems. Confirmed market cap only 18 million, 18.5 million. Now, of course, I'm talking about Clearpool, but I also wanted to point that out. Getting back into this for a second, let's share this as well. And by the way, Clearpool just recently hit all-time highs, right? So Ondo Finance is known as, listed, but Clearpool, introducing a DeFi ecosystem with a permissionless marketplace for institutional liquidity. Again, think about that. I want you guys to really, really think about that. Because what is one of the main things that we talk about over here at Maximus Crypto? And not just us, there's lots of other people talk about, utility-driven coins and tokens. So if I'm going to talk about XRP, for instance, the on-demand liquidity, providing a solution for your banks of the world by refilling that cup of on-demand liquidity. I mean, can you imagine if they would have been around during the time or implemented during the time of the financial collapse of 2009, 2010 with the whole recession? Would the United States have the debt that it has now? It's debatable, but it sure as a heck would have helped, right? By not bailing out all these darn banks, having something with modern technology to get the job done. What we do know is this: on the surface, you have these examples of institutions, and this example is game changer, right? This is what has always made me bullish on Clearpool in the past. It doesn't get mentioned enough. Really, it doesn't. But yeah, allowing institutions to raise capital and DeFi lenders to earn returns through single borrow pools and compliant borrowing lending platform. They are part of the mix. Did you ever see some of these, the ecosystem for this? So again, remember how we're talking about everything with other ecosystems and, one thing snowballs into the other and so on. So custodians, immediately we're thinking of like, BlackRock and some of the other ones, right? Asset custodians. But what about custodians and wallets? Well, Medico. Remember how Ripple, and Medico, that was a big deal. And then, for example, you got the distributors part of the mix. You see LCX part of that. A lot of other big names, right? This one right here, SDX. Remember how I did that big deep dive with Quant? You guys ever notice, some of this stuff in regards to the bigger picture? I mean, it's really something else when you look more into some of this stuff. Tokenization platforms, right? All these have a say. Onyx, for instance, by JP Morgan. Some of you guys have pointed that out to me. Like, hey, Max, do more of a deep dive on that. And I have in the past before some of you guys have, joined our community. That's okay. But yeah, to see Clearpool being part of this mix is game changer. Look at this. As the RWA industry continues to expand, driven by increased institutional involvement and regulatory clarity, these projects could play pivotal roles in shaping the future of asset tokenization and unlocking new opportunities with traditional finance. Again, traditional finance. Remember, while the potential for growth is substantial, conducting, of course, thorough research is crucial. But I love visuals, and I love seeing all this stuff, and I love the idea that we are seeing things like Clearpool, and I'll just show you this real quick, really starting to get sent. I mean, my last bag of Clearpool was 2 cents. Now it's at 33 cents, And look here, they're at $149 million market cap. Okay, rank 374 is only 10, or excuse me, there's not even 10. There's 1 billion tokens. I mean, say what you want. I mean, this thing doesn't have, hundreds of billions or trillions. It's not a meme token, right? I'm going to take you over to their their Twitter real quick. I want to show you this real quick. I've retweeted some things from them recently, and yes, look at this. We're just talking about this is great. Thank you, Mike, by the way. We were just talking about real world assets, were we not? 4 hours ago, guys. Look at this. This is from Jacob. I always forget how to Jacob Kronbeikler. I always forget how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry about that. But it states, let's just full screen this real quick. Big milestone for the RWA sector. HSBC's entry, a clear indication of the growing acceptance among institutions, which we see firsthand every day when we talk to TradeFi. Right. What about TradeFi? Well, institution adoption of RWA is accelerating. Groundbreaking move signals a major shift in TradeFi, paving the way for real-world asset mainstream adoption. Mainstream adoption, guys. I mean, this is what we're talking about. So, I mean, while there's all this stuff being mentioned when it comes to real-world assets, I'm gonna scroll down for a second. Sorry about that. In regards to, like, I should say real-world assets, but ETFs, right? Shout to Coach JV. How he always says, "Hey, like, we're looking this way, and there's a whole other thing going over here." I think this is the best example of that. Look at this for a second. Let's just pull this up before we end everything tonight. This is a bonus for you guys. HSBC's gold token goes live for retail investors in Hong Kong. Again, back to Hong Kong. We did a lot of coverage about JASMY in Hong Kong, but this is different. HSBC claiming bragging rights for being the first bank to create a blockchain-based real-world asset aimed at retail investors. How long ago was this posted? March 26th, so literally yesterday. Let's get that off the screen. Tokenized gold product is available. HSBC online. HSBC gold token minted on the bank's Orion digital assets platform. But getting more into this, understanding what's being mentioned. So, BlackRock is all about claiming that Bitcoin, BTC, is a great store of value. They call it digital gold and so on. But HSBC tokenizing gold for everyday investors in Hong Kong, claiming bragging rights as the first bank to create a blockchain-based real-world asset aimed at the retail market. I think this is a good example of how things go mainstream. Digital assets platform available on HSBC online. There's an app for this. There's a bank that released this press release, obviously, apparently today? Banks and financial institutions bringing a range of real-world assets on blockchains, both private ledgers and public networks like Ethereum. Again, back to everything we just shared. November last year, HSBC, I actually kind of remember a little bit about this. They did tease a tokenized gold offering plan as part of the bank's new digital asset custody platform, created in partnership with Swiss-based crypto safekeeping specialist Medico. And of course, there's a whole thing about this. Proud to be the first retail product in Hong Kong that is based on distributed ledger technology, authorized by the Securities and Futures Commission. HSBC, Hong Kong, head of wealth and personal banking. So, again, why would somebody like Jacob of Clearpool even want to go out on a limb and mention some of this stuff? Well, again, understanding the bigger picture, low market cap gems tied into bigger things. That's the way I take it. There's a lot more on Clearpool that they've been posting a lot about. There's ones I also retweeted not too long ago. So I want to point this out as well because this is good. Look at this for a second. Clearpool Prime announced new user of its ecosystem called Flow Traders. Clearpool's institutional credit platform. So, guys, why am I mentioning this? I mention it because I know that we're not doing coverage tonight about BSL, but you ever notice a common thing here? So there's other players. They're also part of the mix. BSL, Bank Social, as we know, is, for example, a tokenized credit union, right? Absolute gem. A lot of us done really well in Bank Social. I think Clearpool also needs to get the honorable mention, you know, because again, look at what they're doing. Here's another great example. You see here that Clearpool Prime announced a new user of its ecosystem, which is called Flow Traders, and it's a leading global liquidity provider and market maker. My God. And see any of this tied into the likes of BlackRock? Do you understand the bigger picture? Initiated a $4 million loan on Clearpool Prime. The transaction was anchored by digital asset lender Azure Tide. Flow Traders joins a roster of institutions, again, institutions onboarded to Clearpool, including Global Trading House. And I remember this. I reported, this was one of the first things I ever reported in the history of me covering crypto. Jane Street. That was huge. Why is that huge? Well, let me tell you why it's huge. So when this news broke out, okay, which was roughly, I want to say early 2022, okay, the reason why it was huge is because Jane Street was the biggest name in Wall Street at the time, and they at that time was the first to choose like a DeFi platform, and it was happened to be Clearpool, and I remember that was such a big deal, and of course to see some of this. So again, BlackRock, uh, you know, these ties to real world assets and putting money on chain. Finally, all the examples that we mentioned, and even just to have a little sliver or mention about Clearpool, I do think is big. In a nutshell, if you're not aware of what Clearpool is, it's a capital markets ecosystem. Okay, literally look at the tokenization of like credit, and have real world assets tied into it, and all the other examples that we provided tonight. Again, do more of your own research. I've done deep dives about Clearpool in the past. I know I talk about JASMY and all this stuff to your ears, or I don't know. I would say bleeding. I should say that, but until I'm blue in the face. But believe it or not, when I first started this crypto journey of a content creator, I did over 30 videos on Clearpool. More than welcome to check out some of those if you choose to do so. Some of you guys ask what cold storage solution I use. I use this, and it is the Decent wallet. All right. I also, of course, have a ledger like this. All right. You can get a discount basically from going into the affiliate link, which is in all the live video descriptions and recorded and so on. And for the yahoos that are out there, they're like, this is just a shield. And, you know, Will Fix pointed this out, and it's a great point. Were you aware that you don't necessarily get a discount link just going straight to the site? No, you actually have to go through a platform like this. So how cool is that? You know, I don't think anybody's complaining about that. But anyway, use the link, get a discount. There's another one here. If you're the type of person you want to get one for you and your, you know, significant other, you can get two of them. They actually have another promotion, which is this, and I think this is cool. You can get an all-in-one card wallet plus backup card package. Interesting. I thought that was cool. And again, one of the main key things I like about the Decent wallet is not having to do the red tape of, you know, jumping through all the hoops for XDC and the custom folder. I mean, Edward Vincent can vouch on that. Some of you guys can too as well in regards to Ledger. That was a pain in the butt. You don't have that problem. You literally open up your phone, it's on your app, track everything that's going on, right? And, you know, saying goes, not your keys, not your crypto. You know the drill. Check it all out, though, if you wish to do so. It is truly the cold storage solution that I use for the most part. There's still some on Ledger that, you know, I kind of split it up on it and so on. So it is what it is. But if I have preference over one, I'm going with this one. A lot easier to use and so on. And some people, even to this day, still ask me which one to use.